Dunkirk is the latest film from Christopher Nolan, and if that's not enough to get your ass in the seat, do you even love movies? Seriously, other than Tarantino, I can't think of a director that has as consistent of a track record as Nolan does. Inception, The Prestige, Interstellar, the Dark Knight trilogy, like just consistently great movies. And Dunkirk now is another one of those. This movie is told from 3 different perspectives and kind of 3 different timelines, all around centered around the event of the evacuation of Dunkirk during World War II. You have Tom Hardy in a plane. You have the Bridge of Spies spy guy on a boat, a civilian boat, and you have a group of privates on the beach just looking for a way out. And one of them is Harry Styles, and I'm sure this casting was Christopher Nolan's daughter. Really loves One Direction, and Christopher Nolan just did it as a favor. But he's actually pretty good in the movie, Harry Styles. It's much better handled than, I don't know, Ed fucking Sheeran on Game of Thrones. Everybody's good in the movie, but there's not a lot to their characters. This movie doesn't delve into their backstories at all, really. They're just soldiers with a thing to do, or civilians with a job to do, or just soldiers trying to get out of the situation. They have these specific goals that each of them is trying to accomplish, so there's not a lot of time for them to go into their backstories, get some character development, reveal some things about themselves. For example, like the scene in Saving Private Ryan where Tom Hanks tells his crew about his backstory and his job in the United States before the war. None of that in this movie, none of that schmaltz cheesiness. This movie has the most immersive war scenes I think have ever been on film. This movie keeps you on edge the entire time. It's so technically impressive from every standpoint. When you are watching this film, your mind never wanders. You are in this movie. You are watching, you are in for the ride with this movie. The spectacle, the characters, what they're trying to do, everything. You're just invested in the scene. I love Nolan as a director. I love how he uses practical effects, and everything in this movie is pretty much practical. Nothing shines out as CGI. Nothing looks overly shiny or CG. It all looks very realistic, and I'm sure all of it was real. The scene in a capsized battleship after it gets hit by a torpedo is so well done and so claustrophobic as the characters are drowning and looking for a way out. Oh my god, it is so intense. That's my favorite scene in the movie. This movie deserves every single technical Oscar next year. Sound, editing, effects, everything. I didn't even see this movie in IMAX, but you feel every bullet hit, you feel every ping, you feel the torpedo strike. The sound is so well done. Nolan filmed a lot of this with IMAX cameras, so essentially that means some of the dialogue gets a little hard to hear. British accents definitely don't help. It's funny, Tom Hardy speaks the majority of this movie in mouthpiece face mask that pilots had, so he unintentionally sounds like Bane. Crashing this plane with no survivors. I mentioned this movie has 3 timelines, so sometimes you'll see the aftermath of what has already happened before you actually see how this happened. And some characters will cross over when they're in different stages of the evacuation of Dunkirk. I didn't think that particular choice was necessary to the movie at all. Could have just played out. Flat timeline, make things easier. It only gets a bit confusing towards the 3rd act when you're not really sure if this is still flashback or if the timelines have finally merged or not. This movie isn't a typical war movie. It's not about a victory. It's not about a specific real-life war hero. This movie is just about survival, and if anything, that makes this the most realistic war movie of all time. Seriously, when you are in this situation, I can only imagine, I'm not getting anywhere close to this, but I'm sure the one thing you're focused on is survival or trying to accomplish your goal. I love this movie as an experience. It's so technically amazing. It deserves to be seen on the largest screen possible with as best sound you can get. Go see this in IMAX. I might go see this again in IMAX. The lack of strong, definite, defined characters may throw some people off. I've seen some reviews complain about that. But that's not what Christopher Nolan was interested in. He was interested in making this tactical marvel of a movie about just survival, what a soldier's mindset would be in these situations. I highly recommend this movie as a pure war film with no Hollywood sappiness or Spielberg cheesiness, even though I love Saving Private Ryan, but there is no depth to this movie's themes besides survival, but that is all this movie really needed. Bye.